All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through that short break. We're getting ready for our next round. It's the winter quarterfinals. We got Gunplexion going up against Trippy, but little update on the bracket. Magic, what do you got for us?
I mean, there's so much going on, but a couple of pretty noticeable upsets. Straight Sick, which was one of our favorites to qualify today, is going to have to do so from the lower bracket after being upset by Titan, a name I'm personally not familiar with. So pretty interesting to see things already starting to be shaken up.
Indeed. And, Mikowski, any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, on the lower bracket, we've got Evolving taking down King Nick. So King Nick, Straight Sick, two players that we talked about in the pregame show is having high likelihood potential to qualify for that January 7th finals, are now looking at a lower bracket run, which is going to make things much more difficult. However, we have Gilkey, Super CC, and Clay moving on. So some familiarity with the top names, but some surprises, no less, going into the lower bracket.
Indeed. And before I kick it off to you guys, this is winter quarterfinals. We are still in best of ones. They're tough, they're quick, but there's so many people in this tournament. We have to keep it moving. But nevertheless, we got a great one on the other side. It's Gunplexion versus Trippy. We're loading up into Aquarius. So Magic, Mikowski, go ahead and take it away.
I mean, the best of ones are so fast, so furious that we're just flying through. But the level of tension that you can even feel in these best of ones, you can really see the players are coming out hard and giving it their all because this is their shot.
The tension is palpable. You can feel it whether you're competing or watching at home. And the reason is, Magic, this is it. This is why Trippy's here this week. This is the last chance to qualify for a massive 1v1 tournament. Not only the likes of the viewership and eyes on it, but the prize pool, $16,000 as well. As we're going to find out a little bit more about who's going to be competing on January 7th with this one right here between Gunplexion and Trippy.
And the first attention is being drawn right to that active camo top and center as Trippy takes on Gunplexion. He gets the win with a nice use of the thruster. Now, assuming camo is in play, this is where Trippy's going to loop back and pick it up. Not sure about the GAs decided. I would kind of assume that it's not in play for this game, with Trippy very obviously avoiding that pickup.
Well, this is important to note because last time we saw Gunplexion here on Aquarius, he did not want camo in play. His opponent, I believe it was Invicted or Evolving that day, did want to use it. Gunplexion, a lot of people could argue week 2 didn't qualify for his just stubbornness about not using camo, but he finds a willing combative here in Trippy, who's also willing to GA camo. And so far, we've got a tied game, 1-1.
Now, this is so appropriate for Gunplexion. No BR in his hands. He's got the Commando and the Needler. He has favored almost every single other weapon in the sandbox throughout these 1v1s. And now with that Commando, he's got some great shots on the Trippy. He's weakened. He might be eyeing those thruster pickups as he does scoop those up. In fact, he's monopolizing. If Trippy runs over this spawn, he's going to get a few of the thrusters of his own, and both of them using that equipment in order to stay alive and prolong this fight.
Here's what's going to happen because camo is GA'd. You're going to see a much slower paced game. The reason being, you don't have to fight and almost force yourself up top mid to fight for that camo. Instead, it's a moot point. So now the priority, the power position, if you will, becomes those thruster pads. Maybe grab sticky grenades, right? The Commando even, as we see Trippy using that battle rifle to take down the MK use by Gunplexion. So despite having the camo GA'd, we're still getting to see a little bit of variety in the sandbox.
I like the BR win there on the side of Trippy, you know, one of the best with the battle rifle, and shows it right there. Does pick up the Commando as the secondary and is choosing to use that, even though Gunplexion was preferring the sidekick. Now here comes the engagement. Commando laying down so much early damage, but they're kind of trading paint back and forth. Gunplexion gonna dip back out to the court, maybe picked up the fresh thrusters, not sure if he made it far enough, and Trippy's trying to lock sights, tracking him across the back of this blue base.
Gunplexion, those footsteps seemingly echoing in the ears of Trippy as he's not lost a beat. Will it be the roars echoing through Gunplexion's chat with the win against Trippy, a massive upset? Gonna have to wait to find that out. 2-1 game here. Trippy with the lead, but Gunplexion gonna tie it right back up at 2 as he's now got those evades stacked up and control of the high ground.
Now, you're totally right that the pace of this game is slower because they don't have to fight for that top mid control in order to shut down Camo or to steal Camo for themselves. But that just means that every kill is that much more important. And you gotta love Gunplexion prioritizing that thruster pickup. Uses one of the thrusters that he already had in order to pick up a fresh set.
It's the stack and starve strategy here for Gunplexion. He's going to need every bit he's got in the playbook if he's going to take down the defending world champion Trippy. As we see that with the thruster, doing a great job there. Probably have a new spawn coming up here fairly soon, so that might mean Gunplexion wants to push the emphasis, not allow Trippy to get any of that utility value, because it's going to be so huge in a 1v1 if Gunplexion can go into it, almost force it, knowing he's the only one with that utility. That's what he's trying to get started here as he approaches Trippy, tries to bait out some position with those shots. Those commando shots were not to hit. Those commando shots were to bait him out, but Trippy's not taking the bait. He's too smart. He's too good. He's engaged in this long-range fight with the battle rifle as opposed to a commando, so Trippy will take that, looks to close the gap, and there we see the play finally materialize as Trippy has to go for the bait in the thrust, if you will, and goes down to Gunplexion because of it.
So credit to Gunplexion, who seems to have kind of evolved over the course of these qualifiers, being very patient in that fight, where we've seen him being a little bit reckless in previous matches. This one, he really waited until he had that advantage on the fight, and then he capitalized on it with an aggressive push to finish off that kill. And now I'm curious to see, does he keep up this aggressive pace, or does he slow it down with a 1-point lead? Right now, he has Trippy to one shot. Gonna try to find him with a BR for the cleanup. Trippy finds some cover, but he might have forced him off of that high ground position.
Gunplexion hitting the G-slide pushes him closer and closer to Trippy, who now has the high ground. So a little bit of a flip in fortune, as now Trippy has the high ground. Gunplexion has the low ground, but he's got the only thruster again on the map. So we're seeing, again, the importance of the utility. Now, I believe Trippy does have one to use. So this is going to be crucial here. Gunplexion with the advantage with that high ground. He's going to drop, though, playing very aggressively to answer your question, Magic, as now Trippy's one shot. I believe Gunplexion is two. Something's got to give here, as both players are going to reset their shields, reset their positioning, and it's Gunplexion taking the 3-2 advantage so far. He's going to have to take Trippy down here if he wants to build on that lead. This one's tight, this one's close, and it's going to be Trippy instead coming away with the kill and tying it up at 3.
And a lot of the incentive for Trippy to push that fight when he did was he saw the blue side thrusters had spawned in. At the time, he was holding on to Camo, not using it, so no GA's broken. Hold on to your alerts for a second there. But he saw the blue side thrusters had spawned. He rushed once he had a little initial damage, picked up the thrusters, used that to finish off the play. Just a masterful maneuver that Gunplexion wasn't able to counter, but we're still looking at a deadlock 3-3 tie as both players re-engage, and now Gunplexion is the player without any thrusters to his name.
This situation was a splitting reversal of imagery last time, as we had Gunplexion chase down Trippy. In this instance, though, Trippy holds down his high ground and now holds the lead 4-3 because of it.
This is very reminiscent of week number 1, where one player got the initial lead and then would rotate blue, yellow in order to shut down both thruster spawns. Another game where that Camo was GA'd, obviously. Right now, though, Trippy seemed like he was trying to defend blue thrusters. Didn't, though. Gunplexion picked him up, and you see the sidekick back in his hands. Look at the rapid fire coming out. Both players down to one shot. Gunplexion on the chase, trying to get a sight line, but Trippy playing that side so well to avoid any line of sight. And now Trippy jumps down, commando in hand, and Gunplexion with the reversal, and the use of that sidekick wins out.
And in the battle of that MK versus the commando, Gunplexion comes out on top. And what I noticed there, Magic, was the quicker reload statistic that the MK has over that commando allowed Gunplexion to get back in the fight just that split second sooner than Trippy. Because of it, we have a tied game here, 4-4. Battle and action ensuing quickly after the spawn, as neither player here is looking to waste a second. Less than 5 minutes to go. 4-4 here. Every kill coming at a premium as Gunplexion continues to maintain that MK usage. And it's Trippy with the commando, so we're kind of seeing the personalities and the play styles really separating here between these two.
I love the variety of weapon usage here, and that's, you know, due to a lot of the recent sandbox changes where other weapons are viable outside of that BR. Gunplexion, once again, no BR in sight, has the commando and the sidekick. That sidekick win gets him back into this tied game. Couple of thrusters left to use as Trippy's gonna try to track him. He's checking the back of yellow base, and then I think he's gonna clamber back up to regain that high ground and check utility side. Gunplexion still biding his time, showing us a little bit more restraint, I feel like, than what we've seen from him in the past.
And most of the time when a player wants to GA something, the community or chat will rib him for, oh, well, you just want to see battle rifle only. Gunplexion, a fan of the GA, but seemingly not the battle rifle magic, as we, like you said earlier, we haven't really seen much of that from Gunplexion. It's a little bit of that sandbox utility value that has him tied here with Trippy at 4. MK once again, his trusted and handy sidekick, but Trippy is gonna back up. He's got full shields. Gunplexion gets back to full shields, and now it's commando versus commando. A more even gunfight. Excuse me. It looks like Trippy has that battle rifle out as he looks to push up with it. Gunplexion low shields. Trippy looking to take advantage of it, but Gunplexion gets Trippy back to 1. Trippy only needs 1, and he takes down Gunplexion and now has a slim 1-kill lead with less than 3 to go.
All right, we're down to like the 4th quarter of this match as far as time is concerned. So we're looking at, you know, under double digits, you know, 7-6 or something along those lines. And here comes Gunplexion. How does he win that fight to tie up the game?
It's the thruster. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe Gunplexion came back in that gunfight. It almost looked like he was about to give himself up for free a little bit. And then it was the use of the equipment, a last-ditch effort, if you will. And Gunplexion now tied because of it, 5-5. With just about 2 to go. Both players looking to engage long range. Trippy sticking with that battle rifle. I've noticed that. He's going to grab the commando here. But Trippy has looked to almost stay sturdy with the battle rifle. He's used the commandos on occasion, but it's really been Gunplexion with the more far-fetched display with that MK. A great option on this map. You see guys like Spartan talking about it all the time on Twitter. Gunplexion putting it to good use here for good reason.
And right now, Trippy does not have any of that all too valuable thruster to work with. So Gunplexion with the advantage on the mobility side could be the deciding factor in this fight, as it was in the last. Both players, once again, at that slower pace now that we're tied. Neither one wanting to give up even an inch of damage. Trippy does pick up a fresh set of thrusters there on the blue side. So now we're looking at a pretty even fight. It's going to come down to just the gun skill in this matchup. The frag grenade comes out, forces Trippy back. Gunplexion does drop down from that top mid position, rotating, both players rotating. He's right around the corner. Gunplexion looks, he has the commando ready, but now he's gonna try to dip out. Trippy's on the chase, Gunplexion at 1 shot. Trippy trying to find which side he's ducking, and Gunplexion is stalling, milking his life. We might see a little bit of a reset on this combat as Gunplexion gets away, but no, he re-engages. Now Trippy has him 1 shot again, but Gunplexion is the one to land the final shot.
Oh my god, and it's the thrust once again, not only keeping Gunplexion alive, but he flips it on Trippy later and uses it to his demise as he goes down. Less than 1 minute to go. 1 kill separating these two players. It's Gunplexion with the lead. Will it stick? Trippy looking to make sure it doesn't as he pushes up, and he's gonna have to almost OE here a little bit, Magic. He's gonna have to almost desperate like you'd see in a CTF match, being down 1 with 30 seconds to go. Here's the gunfight. Gunplexion looks to evade this and get his shields back as he goes back to the bridge, but he doesn't have the high ground. He doesn't have the advantage with the positioning, and he squeaks out the trade, and that might just do it. Is Trippy gonna have enough time to come back?
He's gonna have to sprint off of that respawn, and here he comes out the gates. Gunplexion only has to hide for 7 more seconds. Make it 5. Clock is ticking down. Trippy has 2 frags and a BR, and he says there's not enough time. That's it. Gunplexion coming out with the upset. His experience from the previous weeks of the qualifier is showing in this matchup, and he came out for vengeance.
And Magic, Gunplexion gets what he wanted here in this matchup. Trippy almost got baited and played into his hand. I can only imagine the devilish smile on Gunplexion's face when Trippy agreed to GA camo. Why? Because the thrust and evade now became even more crucial. We saw 2-3 instances where Gunplexion should have went down and died, but stayed alive instead. And then he started to go on the offensive with it. And then he got that trade with the clock winding down. Here, another example of incredible thrust work there from Gunplexion. Backwards against the wall, quite literally here in the fridge. And it's Trippy with the thrust, but Gunplexion says, I got one better for you. I'll trade you Pikachu for Charizard.
The trade in the end was kind of the nail in the coffin, if you will, for Trippy. If he had grenades at his disposal, Trippy might have been able to flush Gunplexion out of the fridge, won that kill outright. But without any grenades, any utility to work with, Gunplexion pushed his advantage with the thruster. But I tell you what, it comes down to that win in court when there was a minute left where Gunplexion got that 1-point lead, and then he locked it down for the rest of the game.
Trippy's in losers. Straight Sick in losers. King Nick in losers. Magic, just when we thought all the heavy hitters were gonna come out and steal the candy like Walshy says from a baby, it's the guys that you expect to be moving on in winners going down to losers. Guys, what is happening?
Absolutely resilient work out of Gunplexion, sticking in those fights and arguably being down in the damage, right? And we saw a couple of times there at the end, right? Trippy kind of whirlwinding. Maybe he was on vacation a little too long. I'm sure he's going to clean that up before the season, right? But I think it's coming into play here. What do you think, Magic?
I have the utmost respect for Gunplexion. I know we, talk about him breaking GAs, but when it comes to this game, he did get what he wanted. He got that camo out of play, and then he won some incredible fights, including with the sidekick that were just some unmatched gameplay. So a lot of respect for a big win.
Indeed. And then Mikowski, you guys have already done a great job summing up things, but if you could wrap it all up and let us know what your thoughts.
9 out of 10 times. No, 9.9 out of 10 times. Trippy is winning that battle against Gunplexion. But again, let's give credit to Gunplexion because he's been competing week after week. Yeah. That BR shot looked a little bit more sturdy. And Louis, like you said, Trippy quite literally looking like he came back from vacation. So this is why you don't take days off. This is why you continue to compete. This is why you show up in weeks 1, 2, 3, because it builds up. It builds up into something meaningful. And that's exactly what we just saw by Gunplexion. And you just got to root for someone, not only an underdog, but someone that's really been putting the work and earned it here today.
Indeed. Week by week, he has been here and it has shown that he's practiced up in these 1v1s. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was action-packed. We're going to take a little break, and this one I suspect might be a little longer than normal because we have to dissect the bracket and figure out where the best place to jump in a match is going to be. Give us a minute to do that. We'll be right back after this with more of the Honda Fan Cup 1v1 tournament.